The waste reduction is one of our big goals at the Iowa City Landfill.
Discover how you can be a part of the solution by keeping reusable, recyclable, and compostable goods out of the garbage. Plus, learn about an easy way to lend a helping hand to those in danger of losing an essential utility. Progress is made on restoration efforts to 2 historic cabins. And some simple steps to keep young cyclists safe this spring. And it all starts right now on this edition of Iowa City in Focus. Each year, the Iowa City landfill takes in around 135,000 tons of materials. A big problem though, much of that is not trash. Around 70% of what ends up in the landfill could have been diverted through recycling programs. How do we know that? I headed to the landfill to learn how the data is collected, as well as the different ways that people can help reduce what's being thrown out. I'm out here at the Iowa City Landfill and Recycling Center. I'm here with Jane Welch, our recycling coordinator for the city of Iowa City.
Glad to be here, Jack.
And as you can see, we're here sorting trash. What might not be so obvious though is why we're doing that. Jane, can you talk a little bit about how this role actually plays a big part in how you organize your waste reduction efforts?
So the Iowa City Landfill and Recycling Center is one of several landfills across the state of Iowa that participated in the 2017 Iowa Statewide Waste Characterization Study. And waste studies just like this are very important because they help us determine exactly what's going into the Iowa City landfill, what types of waste, and exactly what amounts of each type of waste are entering the landfill. This waste study involves sorting materials into 61 different categories, and those categories are fairly specific. So something like a retail shopping bag, that's a category. Loose food waste, or even something like clear glass versus green and brown glass, those are all separate categories. So from these random waste samples that came into the landfill, we sorted the materials into those 61 different categories, and then weights are recorded for each material that's sorted. So these studies are conducted about every 6 years, and they help us see over time how our waste streams change. So a great example of that from the 2011 to the 2017 study is food waste. We actually saw about a 10% increase in food waste. And with that, we've determined that, all right, in our programming, in our education and outreach, we want to focus more on food waste reduction since we are seeing that increase in the landfill.
And what were some of the themes that were noticeable across the state?
So we saw, especially at the Iowa City landfill, a good majority of what was going into the waste sort was either recyclable, compostable, or reusable. And across the state, that was the trend as well. About 70% of the materials ending up in the waste sorts in Iowa were either recyclable, compostable, and reusable. So a lot of material that potentially could have been diverted instead of ending up in the landfill.
Let's talk about a few specific materials. Iowa City actually saw a drop in cardboard being thrown away. Talk about that as well as a recently enacted cardboard ban that was put in place to help reduce that number.
Yeah, in the 2017 study, we found that there's about 3% cardboard going into the Iowa City landfill, which is around 4,000 tons of material. And you're right, Jack, that is a decrease from our 2011 waste study. Now, while that's a decrease, that's still 4,000 tons of material that we don't want ending up in the Iowa City landfill. So with that, we did enact a cardboard ban. And what that means is that anyone served by the Iowa City Landfill and Recycling Center, so that's anyone in Johnson County and also the cities of Riverside and Kelowna, cannot throw cardboard away in the trash anymore. So it does need to go through a recycling program.
Food waste plays a big role here, amounting to a quarter of what ends up in the landfill. Can you talk a little bit about preventative efforts there?
Definitely. So that 25% equates to around 34,000 tons of food waste, which is a lot of food waste. Definitely looking to figure out ways to reduce that and work with community members and businesses to learn different strategies for food waste reduction. First of all, I want to explain a little bit about food waste. So there's 2 main types of food waste. The first one is preventative. So it's things like this, pile of noodles here. It's anything like leftovers on your plate that maybe didn't get eaten, moldy bread, basically anything that should have been eaten but instead got thrown in the trash. And this is the type of food waste that we're really trying to reduce. The other type of food waste is called non-edible food waste, and that's items like coffee grounds, banana peels, parts of food where we traditionally just don't eat them, so we do expect that type of food waste. Now, for the preventative especially, we're working towards source reduction. So what that means is that we want food waste to be prevented. We don't want it to be formed in the first place. That's the ultimate goal. And so with that, one of the programs that we work with is the Environmental Protection Agency's Food Too Good to Waste program. And this is a source reduction campaign focused on all sorts of different strategies and resources to get residents more mindful of food at every stage of the process. So that's from being at the grocery store, when you're actually buying the food, to when you get it home, you're storing it, you're preparing those meals, and then most importantly also making sure that you're mindful of what's left so that it gets used up.
Another step the city has taken is adding curbside composting. How does that work?
So anyone that has curbside, what we've traditionally called yard waste collection, we're now trying to gear more towards organics collection since it is including food waste at this point. That means that if you have a yard waste container that you've been using, you can now toss your pizza box, your coffee grounds, eggshells, whatever that organic food waste might be, in with those leaves and lawn clippings. So all your yard waste and food waste can get mixed together in that bin. That's totally fine because it ends up in the same pile at the landfill to be turned into compost.
You can't really talk about waste reduction without mentioning plastic. What are some of the things that are being thrown out that could be going into curbside recycling or things that could be recycled in other ways?
So in terms of what we saw in this most recent waste study, organics and paper were the biggest categories at 25% each. Plastics were the third. What's going into the landfill, around 17% is plastic. And of that, a good majority is plastic film, followed by plastics that are number 1 through number 7. And most of number 1 through number 7 are actually recyclable. So again, a good amount of plastics ending up in the landfill that could have been diverted through recycling programs. There's also a large volume of plastic bags ending up in the Iowa City landfill, and we definitely saw that through this waste sort as well. Looking at plastic bags, it's a very difficult to recycle material, and there's a few reasons for that. The first big reason that's problematic is that at sorting facilities, they're actually an operational hazard. They get caught up in the machinery, and it makes it very difficult to actually pull them out of the machinery. And then also, in terms of the recycling market, plastic bags are typically just of very little value, which is another issue.
So maybe bringing reusable shopping bags would be a great way to help out.
Absolutely, and we definitely encourage that whenever possible, use a reusable shopping bag over a disposable plastic bag.
Another tough one is glass, because that also can't go in curbside recycling. What are ways that people can recycle that still throughout the city?
So certain types of glass containers can actually be redeemed for that 5 cents. You can go back to the store and get some money back for that. And then the other option is we do have glass recycling at our recycling drop-off locations in Iowa City, and all that information is on our recycling page on the city website.
Thank you so much for sharing these different ways that people can help reduce waste and keep our community moving in the right direction.
No problem. Thank you, Jack.
Well, should we get to sorting?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
The City of Iowa City provides customers around 5.6 million gallons of clean, safe drinking water every day. 74,000 people rely on that for washing, cleaning, bathing, and drinking. And because water is so essential to our daily lives, the city provides a program for those struggling to afford this service.
The city offers a utility discount program, and through that program, a person that qualifies will get a discount or a percentage off of their utility bill every month.
Qualified customers receive discounts on stormwater, water and sewer, as well as garbage and recycling costs. The city recently collected census data to study utility usage and participation in the discount program.
From that, we've discovered that really there was a lot more people that were qualified for the program than were actually participating.
To no surprise, the study also showed that participants in the program had fewer incidents of having water shut off. In an effort to further reduce those situations, the city is reaching out to residents who may qualify for the discount.
The more people would get to sign up, then the fewer instances of late notices and water shutoffs would occur.
That comes at a cost, though. The city loses around $7,000 a month in revenue by offering this program. With a significant increase expected, the city has started a utilities assistance fund.
The idea of the donor program is to help offset that additional cost, really to help make the program sustainable.
You can sign up to make a one-time contribution or make a monthly donation that'll be added to your utility bill.
So really this fund is to keep those people in their homes, to keep their water on, and we're hoping that this donor program will meet that need.
We hope you consider donating to this worthy cause. Here at City Park, a part of our community's history is missing, but not for much longer. Built in 1889 and 1913, these two demonstration cabins were built to teach visitors what life was like for the first settlers in Iowa. After more than a century, the cabins had fallen into disrepair. In order to keep these log houses as an educational tool, last year the city contracted the restoration of the cabins. After being taken apart log by log, the timber was taken to be dried out and have repairs made. I recently got a chance to see the progress being made on the cabins, which required a road trip to central Iowa. 116 miles northwest of Iowa City, located near the town of Clemens, you'll find Heritage Woodworks. And in this wood shop, you'll hear the sounds of dedication. Phil and Tracy Grossman were awarded the contract to restore the 2 City Park historic cabins.
They needed a lot of work, didn't they?
Once an educational tool for the community, these century-old demonstration cabins were rarely being used after falling into disrepair.
Phil went down to look at them and, he had to screw the door open.
Leaking roofs led to water damage and rotted wood.
These cabins had so much history that you could tell that they were built with a lot of skill and so much work and labor. To see them in the shape they were in was actually a little heartbreaking for him.
That's why the city hired Heritage Woodworks to give the old homes new life. The logs were carefully marked and taken down piece by piece. After a few months in storage to dry out, the lumber is ready to be worked with.
When you bring them back out of storage, everything's dried down, all that moisture's gone, and you can really see structurally what shape they're going to be in.
The next step is to clean the logs through a process called cob blasting.
It takes off all the dirt, oxidation, the outer layer, and leaves kind of the character and color.
While much of the timber is solid, some needs to be treated using epoxies.
Consolidant works its way into the core of the log and then turns it to kind of like plastic. It's a preservation process, and then it's good for another 80, 100 years.
And for the logs that can't be saved?
Literally go out to the woods and we look at trees and say, that's the right fit, we're going to take that one.
Of course, they have to consider many things when selecting each piece.
They have to be right moisture content, right shape, right species.
To keep things authentic, they used the same techniques as the axemen who first built the cabins.
What's kind of neat is you can look on the original walls and you'll see some of those same, like the scoring. So we knew we're going through the same process as the original guys.
Log by log, the cabin is built up. The crew fabricated a new door, windows, and roof. One down, one to go.
And we roll out a whole nother set for the next building and we start over.
Once finished, the cabins will be broken down and brought back to the site this summer for completion.
We'll be framing in the roof, putting the shakes on, and it has to sit for a little while before we come back, do the chinking, do the floors.
Just really neat to be able to have them come back and be able to do something to restore them.
The city is working on plans to put them to use as a historical resource. It's been an exciting project for all of those involved.
It's a super rewarding project because it's neat to be able to do work that's meaningful to a community.
I think it's going to be a neat thing for the whole city for years to come.
It's been an awesome experience.
We look forward to following the process of constructing the newly renovated cabins this summer. Keep an eye out for our next video on the final steps of the renovation process.
While younger, inexperienced bicyclists may feel most safe riding on the sidewalk, be aware. Sidewalks have their own unique set of hazards, such as vehicles backing out or pulling into driveways or parking lots. If you feel most safe riding on the sidewalk, ride slow and give those who are walking the right of way. Be observant and watch for cars at all driveways and intersections. To be certain you are seen, make eye contact with drivers before proceeding through the intersection. If you are passing someone on the sidewalk or trail, slow down and pass to the left. Say on your left or ring your bell to let them know you are passing.
On your left!
Bike lights and reflectors and light-colored clothing will help to ensure that you are seen even in the daytime. Always wear a helmet. Be cautious, be seen, get there safe.
Next time on Iowa City in Focus, the Iowa City Airport is celebrating an important anniversary. Learn how you can take part in the festivities. And you should check out our new look online. The freshly designed website makes it easier to search and watch our diverse programming lineup. Head to citychannel4.com to check it out. Have a great start to spring. We'll see you next month on Iowa City in Focus.